brothers and sisters, and friends, and I see some enemies. In fact, I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we had an audience this large and didn't realize that there were some enemies present.
What if the enemy you've been fighting against isn't just one person, but an entire system built to keep you in a perpetual state of dependence? What if the path to true liberation isn't about asking for a seat at the table, but about building your own? This is what Malcolm X said. Black people need to understand that the forces oppressing them are not just individuals, but deeply entrenched systems of power designed to marginalize, control, and exploit. To break free from these shackles, it's essential to promote Black nationalism, because when you understand who your enemies are, you gain the power to rise above them. The time for Black nationalism is now, more urgent than ever. It's about acknowledging that Black communities can no longer afford to wait for approval from a system that has never had their best interests at heart. By embracing Black nationalism, Black people can finally take control of their own decisions, leaders, and destiny. But this can only happen if we recognize the forces standing in our way and commit ourselves to creating a future that serves us. Black nationalism isn't just an ideology, it's a revolutionary call to action for economic, political, and social liberation. The question is, will people follow Malcolm X's guidelines to get true independence? Let's find out. Black nationalism is not just an ideological movement. It's a call for control, autonomy, and self-determination. The foundation of Black nationalism lies in the need for Black people to control their own decisions, their leadership, and ultimately their destiny. It's about reclaiming the right to define our communities, our values, and our futures without interference from outside forces. The oppressive systems that have historically denied Black people autonomy, colonialism, slavery, systemic racism, have perpetuated a cycle of control. Now, Black nationalism seeks to break that cycle by placing the power to make decisions in the hands of Black communities themselves.
We're spending it with a man who, when the sun goes down, takes that basket full of money in another part of the town. So we're trapped, double trapped, triple trapped. Anywhere we go, we find that we're trapped. And every kind of solution that someone comes up with is just another trap. But the political and economic philosophy of Black nationalism, the economic philosophy of Black nationalism shows our people the importance of setting up these little stores and developing them and expanding them into larger operations. Woolworth didn't start out big like they are today. They started out with a dime store and expanded and expanded and then expanded until today they're all over the country and all over the world, and they're getting some of everybody's money. Now this, what you and I in General Motors, the same way, didn't start out like it is. It started out just a little rat race type operation, and it expanded and expanded until today it's where it is right now. And you and I have to make a start. And the best place to start is right in the community where we live.
The need for Black nationalism is clearer than ever. From political decisions to social policies, Black people have been excluded from meaningful participation in decisions that affect their lives. Black leaders, far too often, are chosen or influenced by forces outside their communities, forces that may have their agenda but don't prioritize the well-being of Black people. Malcolm X argued for a political system where Black leaders emerged from within the community, leaders who understood the struggles, the history, and the needs of Black people. He believed in the necessity of self-determination, where Black communities could decide their path without the interference of others. In the modern world, this means reclaiming the political space that has often been dominated by those who have historically oppressed and marginalized Black communities. The fight for Black nationalism isn't about isolation, it's about empowerment. The strength of a community comes from its ability to choose its leaders, make decisions that reflect its needs, and hold those leaders accountable for delivering what is best for the community. It's time for Black communities to take back the power that has been systematically stripped away for centuries. And this change can only come once a Black man has political maturity. The concept of political maturity is essential to Black nationalism. Political maturity means understanding that true power comes from autonomy, not from seeking approval or validation from systems that have historically oppressed Black people. It's about knowing that the Black community doesn't have to beg for a seat at a table that was never built with them in mind. Instead, Black people need to build their tables, establish their own rules, and dictate their terms. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now.
Malcolm, what is your purpose here? Well, my purpose here is to remind the African heads of state that there are 22 million of us in America who are also of African descent, and to remind them also that we are the victims of America's colonialism or American imperialism, and that our problem is not an American problem, it's a human problem. It's not a Negro problem, it's a problem of humanity. It's not a problem of civil rights, but a problem of human rights.
And what do you hope for from this conference?
Well, we hope to bring pressure upon them, or rather we hope to impress upon them the importance of their bringing pressure.
This idea echoes Malcolm X's belief that Black people must develop a political consciousness that transcends dependence on white-dominated political structures. He argued that Black communities must stop relying on political figures or institutions that do not have the community's best interests at heart. Political maturity is about understanding that Black communities must govern themselves, make decisions for themselves, and implement policies that directly benefit their own. Black people need to think critically about the systems they are part of and develop the wisdom to act in their interest, not the interest of the system that keeps them marginalized. Black political maturity means developing leaders who rise from within the community and who prioritize the needs and future of their people. These leaders must understand that the path to true power is not through compromise, but through a firm commitment to self-determination. This requires building political systems that reflect the values, goals, and needs of Black people. When political maturity is reached, Black communities will no longer look outside themselves for validation or approval. They will trust in their abilities and their systems to shape their futures. For Black people to truly control their destiny, they must have control over their economic resources, businesses, and education. The current system has created an imbalance where Black people are excluded from many of the economic opportunities available to others. It's essential that Black communities not only have access to the same resources, but also the freedom to build their infrastructure, businesses, and educational institutions that reflect their values and needs. If Black people are not allowed to control their economy, the result is continued dependence on systems that have historically worked to their detriment. If Black people do not have control over their businesses and educational systems, they are essentially feeding into a system that doesn't serve them. White-controlled businesses and institutions have long benefited from Black labor, time, and money, yet rarely reinvest in Black communities. The money Black people spend in predominantly white communities fuels the wealth of those communities without contributing to the prosperity of Black people themselves. It's time for Black communities to reclaim their economic power.
And world opinion upon the United States take some meaningful effort to solve our problem in America. We want them to help us get our problem before the United Nations and charge America with violating our human rights in the same way that South Africa is charged with violating the human rights of our people in that area.
And what sort of reaction have you been getting from the African leaders?
Well, I've gotten a good reaction, a very sympathetic reaction, and an understanding reaction. Many of them have been misinformed by the American government into thinking that Black people in America don't identify with Africa, and therefore they've restrained themselves from voicing their interest in our problem. But I've impressed upon them that our problem is their problem, as well as their problems are our problems.
Malcolm. Black nationalism in this context means the ability to control the flow of money within Black communities. It's about ensuring that Black people build their own businesses and educational institutions, creating systems that support Black entrepreneurs, educators, and professionals. The absence of economic independence leads to the further exploitation of Black people, as they continue to be consumers without the power of production. Black nationalism seeks to address this by empowering Black communities to create and control their economic ecosystems, fostering an environment where money circulates within Black neighborhoods, strengthening the local economy, and building long-term wealth. The time for Black nationalism is now. The current system has perpetuated inequality and dependence, and Black people are increasingly realizing that the status quo is unsustainable. When Black people spend their money in white communities, they are not only contributing to their economic marginalization, they are actively enriching communities that have not supported them. Black nationalism is about breaking this cycle of dependence and creating a future where Black communities have control over their economic destinies.
Determination, urging African Americans to take control of their own destiny. Malcolm envisioned a future where Black-owned businesses thrived and collective economic action. Here's an excerpt from his speech on economic empowerment, a powerful call to action that remains relevant today.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that our own mind has to be changed. We have to change our mind about ourselves.
In what way?
Well, so he teaches us the importance of moral reformation, a knowledge of self. And for instance, the average so-called Negro, he doesn't think that he can go into business and provide jobs for himself. And because of this, he thinks that he can only get a job from the white man, or he can only get clothes from the white man, or he can only get food from the white man. And we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are taught that the same thing that the white man has done for himself and his kind, if our people could if we could be cured of our slave mentality that was indoctrinated into us during slavery, we would realize that just as the white man can do these things for himself and his kind, we can get together in unity and harmony and do the same thing for ourselves and our kind.
The economic philosophy of black nationalism only means that we should own and operate and control the economy of our community. You would never find, you can't open up a black store in a white community. White man won't even patronize you. And he's not wrong. He got sense enough to look out for himself. And you who don't have sense enough to look out for yourself. The white man is too intelligent to let someone else come and gain control of the economy of his community. But you will let anybody come in and control the economy of your community. Control the housing, control the education, control the jobs, control the businesses under the pretext that you want to integrate. No, you're out of your mind. The economic philosophy of black nationalism only means that we have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people into the importance of knowing that when you spend your dollar out of the community in which you live, the community in which you spend your money becomes richer and richer. The community out of which you take your money becomes poorer and poorer. And because these Negroes...
This isn't a call to isolate from the world. It's a call to build a world where black people can thrive independently and on their terms. It's about the recognition that black people deserve the power to make decisions, the resources to build businesses, and the freedom to educate their children in ways that uplift their communities. The time for black nationalism is not a distant future. It is now, in this moment of reckoning, where black people everywhere must demand the control and autonomy they have long been denied. The time is now to make black nationalism a reality and create a world where black communities can truly stand on their own, unencumbered by the forces that have held them back for far too long. One thing that Malcolm X said, and is still relevant to this day, is that we need to transform our minds first. For centuries, black people have been conditioned to believe that they are powerless in the face of economic systems that are not designed for their success. This belief, deeply embedded in the collective psyche, has led many to think that they must rely on outside forces, whether it's the government, white-dominated industries, or foreign aid, to thrive. But what if that mindset is the real barrier to progress? What if black communities could transform their economy, build their infrastructure, and create their wealth without waiting for permission or handouts? The first step toward economic transformation is recognizing the immense power that lies within black communities. Too often, we have been taught to view ourselves as dependent or incapable of creating lasting change. But the truth is, the potential for change has always been there. It's been a matter of mindset. Black people need to shift the narrative in their minds from one of helplessness to one of self-sufficiency. This shift is not just a change in thinking. It's the first step toward real, tangible empowerment. Malcolm X often spoke about the power of self-determination, and the necessity for black people to take control of their destinies. He understood that the economic systems in place were not built to benefit black people, but he also believed that black people could build something better, something of their own. This means creating businesses, managing wealth, and developing industries that serve the black community's needs, rather than depending on those who have historically held power over them.
To create employment for the people in the community. And once you can create some employment in the community where you live, it will eliminate the necessity of you and me having to act ignorantly and disgracefully, boycotting and picketing someplace else, trying to beg him for a job. We have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people into the importance of knowing that when you spend your dollar out of the community in which you live, the community in which you spend your money becomes richer and richer. The community out of which you take your money becomes poorer and poorer. And because these Negroes who have been misled, misguided, are breaking their necks to take their money and spend it with the man. The man is becoming richer and richer, and you're becoming poorer and poorer. And then what happens? The community in which you live becomes a slum.
It's crucial to understand that black people don't need help from those who have oppressed them. This isn't to say that partnerships and collaborations aren't valuable. Rather, it's about understanding that black people have the tools, the talent, and the resources to build their future without the assistance or validation of those who have never had their best interests at heart. It's about harnessing the creativity, intelligence, and resilience that has always existed within black communities and redirecting that energy into creating independent, sustainable economic systems. For far too long, black people have been made to feel as if they are not equipped to lead in the economic arena. But this belief is rooted in systemic oppression, not in the inherent capabilities of the black community. Black people are entrepreneurs, innovators, and visionaries, just as capable, if not more so, than anyone else. The challenge is not a lack of ability. It's overcoming the mental barriers that have been imposed by a system designed to keep black people dependent. To change the economy, black people must first believe that they can. They must embrace the mindset that they do not need to wait for others to dictate their future. With a focus on education, innovation, and strategic planning, black communities can build their industries, create job opportunities, and generate wealth that remains within their own hands. From tech startups to real estate development to green energy initiatives, the possibilities for black economic empowerment are endless. The truth is that black people are not starting from scratch. They have the talent, the ingenuity, and the desire to create change. They simply need to believe that they can. Once that mental shift occurs, the next step is action. By investing in black businesses, supporting local entrepreneurs, and investing in industries that cater to the needs of the community, black people can create an economic system that is not only independent, but thriving. Do you think it's time to step up? What can you do to change Africa? Let us know in the comments section. Will Africa unite for this purpose? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.